Boom.
Film yourself.
Rex Sikes, the man, the legend.
The amazing Rex.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, I think the last time I saw you was when I was up in Wisconsin and we talked to your class.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, that's right. That's right. That was, like 2016 or something, 15, 16, 17.
That actually helped a lot because we stole a bunch of your students for PAs when we were first kicking off Cactus Jack. And so we decided we wanted to make it with no crew.
Oh,
no offense to your students.
Oh, all of your success to me then.
In more ways than you know.
I know. I'm keeping tab. No, I am so impressed. Are we recording?
Yeah, we're on. We're live. We got 59 minutes probably to go.
9 minutes to go?
59. It's 60 minutes.
I am so impressed with your trailer. That looks absolutely amazing. And Go is such an incredible talent. I mean, I'm envious and I hate him for being so good. He's truly good. I've been a huge fan of Michael's for a decade or more now, probably 2 decades or more. And so very, very cool. More power to you. And Sydney's producing. I mean, what an incredible thing.
Yeah, you talked to him too for a bit, didn't you, about The Last Full Measure? So small world. Sydney Sherman, our manager.
Oh, we have so many, friends in common and things like that. I mean, every day somebody, will contact me and say, oh, I'm so-and-so's friend or such. I just watched Mank last night, and I worked with John Houseman, and they mentioned, Houseman in the movie and everything. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot.
Dude, how is Mank?
Huh?
How is Mank?
I'm undecided. I want to watch it again. It's stunning in many ways, but I watched it between like 3 and 5 in the morning or 4 and 5 in the morning, and and I got caught up in something, and then the sun started to come up, and because of the black and white and the contrast and the sun coming in the windows, it was harder for me to see what's going on. It's definitely a talking head movie. I mean, it's very wordy.
So I got nothing against. I love talking heads movies.
Oh, there's nothing against it. I'm just saying it's just a very you have to pay attention.
Got to pay attention, yeah.
Absolutely.
So I want to watch it again, but it's amazing. The recreation, San Simeon, whether they're there or whether it's all whatever, I have no idea. I didn't, quiet, honey. I have no idea, but absolutely gorgeous.
Who do you got there with you?
This is Bailey. Bailey is my 2-year-old, an incredible 2-year-old, and Sasha's in the other room.
See
Bailey.
The tail wagging back there.
Can you really?
That's just a glimpse for a second there.
She has a paintbrush tail. I never knew what that was called until somebody, somebody said, "Oh, a paintbrush tail. It's a little white tip on the."
Yeah.
I never.
You should actually put some paint on it. Have her make some art.
Sign some canvas.
Yes.
Painting by Bailey. That would be
it could be something.
Paw prints on canvas.
I like it. That might be a hot seller. Go ahead.
It could be, or we could just smear dog crap all over the thing.
There you go.
Say, that shit we know can be a hot seller.
Smithsonian.
It's proven.
Smelly art.
I don't want Rex's dog's shit art. I want Rex shit art. All right? Come on now.
I'll leave you a jar.
Well, this was supposed to be one of the Hard Out My Favorite Movie episodes, and your pick was the Nitwits.
Right.
1935, right?
George Stevens, who directed Giant.
Yes. But I could not find a copy anywhere streaming online. I had to order one on eBay. It should be here Monday, so we'll reconvene to do that episode. This will just be a general Hard Out episode, bullshit and catching up, see what you got going on.
Absolutely.
What do you have going on right now? Do you got anything to plug or anything that you're into right now? Any projects?
My book, obviously. My book.
To our mom.
Is doing well.
Yes.
Plugging the book to your mom. Hey,
Mom.
Mom.
Your terms, Mom.
Buy it for all your friends. Makes great Christmas gifts, stocking stuffers. If you're a corporate executive, give it to all your employees. Life on Your Terms available at Amazon and hopefully soon to be Barnes & Noble and other places. But it's certainly available at Amazon. There's my shameless plug. And then Shooting Star is, I don't know, I thought it was coming out in October, but so I haven't heard.
COVID got a hold of it.
I haven't heard when it's coming out, but they sent me a suitcase, a laptop to do ADR in my closet, essentially. I had to get under a blanket and and do the ADR. And work with the sound guy. Originally, they were going to put me in the sound studio here, and they couldn't find one that they could work with, apparently. And so they just said, here, we're shipping you the equipment. So it was cool. It was fun.
Crazy times, man.
Yeah.
Do what we got to do to get these things through.
I mean,
we're basically doing the same for Gall. We got some ADR we need to do in the next week or two, and we're sending him shit. It's like, I could have him in my place, but why?
ADR is the hardest, I think, of anything an actor has to do. I love film work. I love live performance. I love film work. I love thinking on my feet when things go wrong. I love to troubleshoot. I love producing for that reason, because suddenly, you have to get all your resources together. ADR, here's how I describe ADR. Imagine that you play Quasimodo. You've got a 30-pound lump of clay on your back. Your face is all twisted up with makeup and appliances and whatever. And you're doing the whole thing. Now you come back into DDR and you're supposed to stand in front of a microphone, look up at a screen, essentially.
And emulate that.
In this case, it was on and recreate what you did when you had a 30-pound weight on your back and appliances in your face and sound the same. And if you make any extraneous sounds, like if you cry and you go,
that's not actually happening on screen. Yeah. Jay made a great point recently about green screen being similar, that it's actually maybe takes more acting chops to be able to pretend that you're being chased by this giant dinosaur and is not there, So
I agree with you, Holy Chris. I have maintained that Shia LaBeouf is the best actor in the world.
Dude, I'm not gonna fucking argue.
Yeah, I mean,
fucking enamored with him, man.
Have you seen the Fast Times at Ridgemont High table read on? They did a Zoom, and he played Spicoli, and really? Sean Penn was there playing a different character, but he got to observe Shia LaBeouf playing his role, and Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston were there, which was interesting because of their history. And
they were the Judge Reinhold and Phoebe Cates roles, which is hilarious.
It was pretty star-studded, but Shia fucking stole the show, man. He was amazing, and he didn't do it at all like the original either.
He did like some modern, just decrepit stoner type vibe. I don't know about
so many great stories about him.
Truly an amazing talent, a brilliant actor, creative mind, and yet whenever I've watched, what was it, Eagle Eyes or whatever
that was during his Spielberg blockbuster phase. Yeah,
he's got to run, he's got to cry, he's got to do all these things to a green screen. I mean, look at a broom and act scared.
Well, have you seen Honey Boy?
I think I did.
That's the semi-autobiographical one where he plays his dad in it, about the child star and shit.
Yeah, maybe I thought I did, but
dude, watch Honey Boy. But the opening shit even makes fun of that. It's like him as a child actor in front of a green screen being launched on some fucking band or a rubber band, essentially, you know what I mean, for some big action shot. So it kind of skewers that whole thing. But dude, he plays his own dad. It is fucking phenomenal acting. He wrote it. The myth is he wrote it in rehab. I think some of that is questionable marketing spin, but that he wrote it in rehab, and like fucking 10 days later after he got out of rehab they were shooting or something, which I think it's kind of Hollywood spin, but
could be.
He's the man. He's fucking great. I remember when they were shooting Transformers 3 here in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And I was in school. I still I worked a couple days on security for the set. I remember seeing him, and back then you just thought he was like some Disney star and shit. I was like, look at this guy.
At first I didn't have anything close to the respect I got for him now, after, the things he've done. What was that story about him showing up at Alec Baldwin's door because Baldwin wasn't taking the script seriously?
Yeah, they were doing a play. He got fired from this play because he pissed off Alec Baldwin for giving Alec Baldwin shit for not being off book yet and everything. It's hilarious, dude. There's a great clip of him telling the story on Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon or some shit, but
right, just a brilliant talent. I mean, I have. As a young actor, I was more like, oh, this is art, this is craft, this is, you got to be your best, and everything. And as an older actor, I go, we're just pretending.
Right.
It's just make believe. But that said, some people make believe a whole lot better than others.
Oh, yeah. You got your Sean Penns and Daniel Day-Lewis's and shit.
And many of them, I think, are accessing something that's in there. You know what I mean? It is, reaching into, you know, something that's painful in their past, or even just that they can imagine. It's not even necessarily something that happened. They imagine, you know, but they can access it and better than others, you know.
Shelley Winters was an acquaintance, a friend of mine, and
you said Shelley Winters?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, I know.
Legend.
But I never liked her. I mean, I thought she was an obnoxious old lady with a tiny little dog, and you know the whole thing. But I appreciated her as an actor, and it wasn't until she made some comments on Marlon Brando that I really grew to respect her, and then really truly appreciated her as a person. You know, what she said was, and I think it's so true of that time. She said, Marlon hated acting, and
yeah, it doesn't sound surprising.
Well, yeah. but you know, it was I forget when it was. Shawano was, remember when Shawano, Wisconsin there was an uprising with Native Americans or something, and everybody was on edge, and so Brando, instead of accepting the Academy Award, had a Native American come and the whole thing as a protest or whatever. He was on the Tomorrow Show or something, and they kept saying, "I'm going to get fired if I don't talk to you about acting. You've acted as like sharpening pencils. Anybody can do it." And I was so offended. I mean, I was 18, 19 at the time going, yeah, that's easy for you to say, Academy Award nominated actor, like sharpening pencils, anybody can do it. Yeah, right.
Maybe it was humility.
But Shelley said this. She said he spent so much time, especially at that time, with, you know, the method of being in pain and hurting and and in the 70s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, that was a predominant. A lot of acting was get into your crap, wallow in it, feel it, be authentic, let it, you know. And so you'd be a puddle of crying goop on the floor, and the acting should go, "Hey, okay, time to see you next week." Right. And you're like, "You're gonna put this person back together." They can't go out to, you know, get coffee now. They're totally like, you know. But that's what she said about Brando. She said, I think he just spent so much time agony that he just grew to not like the entire process, that it hurt.
Contempt for the craft after all of that. Yeah.
And so that's why my other predominant acting coach and myself, in terms of teaching acting, have said it's crazy to go through all of that for a movie. Stephen Railsburg played Manson in Helter Skelter. They said for 3 months, you know, he was Manson, and then at the end, at the rap party, nobody really liked him because he'd been a dick at the time.
Jim Carrey as Andy Kaufman.
Well, you know, but the thing is this: he never killed anybody as Charlie Manson.
Yeah, very true.
I mean,
take all the acid and.
Well, I mean, you know, Daniel Day-Lewis and Lincoln. You know, call me Mr. Lincoln on the set. You know, you still go home to an electronic world. You're not right. So.
And there's something to be said for being able to convince everyone you're having those emotions when you're not. If that's maybe the pinnacle of acting, that you can pull it off, right? When without even having to access, you just fucking convince everyone. It's like a magic act sort of thing.
But acting shouldn't occupy your life. It shouldn't.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It
shouldn't ruin you for everything else. It shouldn't be so taxing that you go, God, I want to do this again. You know, it should
what job would you want that does that to you?
I was wondering if Daniel Day-Lewis is just super antisocial and he doesn't want to fucking chit-chat on set with everybody, so he just does that to alienate everyone.
It's an excuse to be himself. He's really Daniel Plainview.
I'm painfully shy, so that's my masquerade. No, but I mean, these guys are remarkable talents. I couldn't do what they do. I mean, you know, and obviously very few people in the world can. And they're
astounding.
But you shouldn't have to, you know, Neil Innes, who from Monty Python, said, I suffered for my art. And now it's your turn. Brilliant. But I think that's the most brilliant line. But you shouldn't have to, I mean, you shouldn't have to suffer. You shouldn't be in mental and physical and emotional and spiritual pain and agony to recreate somebody on screen.
Well, the funny thing is, too, is that Daniel Day-Lewis is going to get his pick of roles, and they're all going to be Phantom Thread level fucking insanity and shit, right? But for just the average working actor, so many roles you get are not even going to require any of that kind of flex. So how do you just act the buddy role or whatever? It's like draw on your pain to just be the sidekick or whatever, you know what I mean? Like the nagging girlfriend, whatever these trope roles are.
Well, Go ahead. I don't want to cut you off.
Well, I was going to say like Robin Williams, for example, like in Good Will Hunting, or
oh yeah, he's a reservoir of pain.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there is something to that really, I mean, strikes you that in a way that maybe you can't access. You can't.
Well, take a guy like that than doing Mork and Mindy.
You don't have the pathos, you know.
That's what I'm talking about. Is him doing Mork and shit.
Like, yeah. Well, that was, I'm sure, a reaction to all that pathos too. You know, that manic, you know, zany side was trying to.
But just as far as the emotional, you're not engaging that at all with those kind of roles, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, you were saying, Rex, in response
I was going to say, I mean, you know, for the average actor, I mean, I've been fortunate that I've either starred or co-starred in some things, and I've also done smaller or lesser parts. The lesser parts, I mean, you know, if tomorrow I get hired, you know, and I'm playing a security guard in something, I don't have to go through all of that stuff. Nobody,
of course,
you know,
yeah.
All I have to do is learn how to further the story, especially in television. You got to look at where you are in the script, who you're acting with. You know, are you acting with the stars, or are you acting? What do you do to further the story? And
I was thinking that would be but hilarious if you did just spend months like preparing for the security guard role and like wrecked your family life because you're playing, you know.
I bet a lot of young actors when they get their first roles and shit, they do that.
Right, but go on. I'm sorry.
I'll tell you how it was for me. I mean, and it's probably parallels a number of people. Either you're very lucky and you audition all the time and you get things, or you're very lucky and you audition all the time and you never get anything. Or you never get any auditions, and you're trying to get the auditions. And so when you do get an audition or you do get a role, it's the, we're going to charge you for everything we didn't make this year. This is my chance. It's, you know, I've got 2 lines, you know, a friend of mine's first lines on the TV show were flowers for Miss Brooks. He delivered flowers in a soap opera, and essentially
his whole family's watching because of this one moment.
And he's outside the door and he goes, flowers for Miss Brooks, and that was it. You know, my backstory is, you know, I'm a crazed maniac who you know, went through all this shit. And now the last thing on earth is I'm delivering flowers, and so I go, flowers for Miss Brooks, as opposed to flowers for Miss Brooks. And they're going to say stop. I did a thing, Archie Bunker's thing, where I was in an Archie Bunker show or whatever, and I look at the check and I go, you pay it, kind of thing. They're like, no, you can't Archie's bar, too expensive.
It's always funny when you see an extra being extra you know, in the background where they're like just like chatting shit over there. Like,
there's the one guy, there's this famous extra. He was in Ghostbusters. He's the guy who's like, yeah, Ghostbusters in the crowd, like he's been in several movies. I gotta look him up again, but he's just like,
you got to do a compilation of him.
He's the extra, yeah. It's hilarious.
The extra. That's the name of it.
There are famous extras and there are famous groupies, and I can't think of the most famous groupie. There was one running around Hollywood in the 70s.
Oh shit!
Platform shoes, hot
These
pants,
are exactly the stories we wanted to have you on.
Yes,
you know. Capes, I forget, and he used to be all over Sunset Strip late at night. It's like Chucky Starr, I think his name was Chucky Starr, and he was known to be a groupie everywhere.
Jay and I wanted to do we sort of pitched in general meetings mostly a Sunset Boulevard like Guns N' Roses types TV show. And you're following this band and the egos clashing and, you know, all the groupies and the drugs and excess and things, but also this desire for thirst for fame and then finally rocketing to it in no time. And it would just be a great scene to explore, you know. And when we pitched it, like, I know, oh my God, how am I forget? Fuck it. Johnny Depp, Johnny Depp's production company was interested in it because, you know, he's into rock and roll and stuff. I mean, he, you know, played in Hollywood Vampires, etc. I saw him play with STP. And the note we kept getting was that, no, it should be from the producer's point of view, not the band's point of view. You know, it's that, like, you know, and it just, that felt wrong to us. We felt like, no, you want to be in there with, it's like, you know, Tony Soprano, even though he managed the mob and stuff, but it was like he was the force, you know, like we feel like the band is the force, you know, they're the guitarist and the lead singer, especially the lead singer, probably, you know, come on, the Axl Rose, you know. But then we found out right on the heels of that, as this was being
the Mick Jagger Scorsese show.
Mick Jagger and Scorsese had a HBO show in development that was too similar, but it turned out to be the show Vinyl.
Yeah,
which is set in the 70s, and they did that, I believe. I think he was the producer, the movie producer.
They did it.
Wasn't that successful? You know, it kind of just died on the vine. And
well, we always joke about that
like
too.
The real, like the mythical clashing and everything of the band members is where it's at.
I don't know why they're scared of that. I mean, if you look at sitcoms, every sitcom has a family in a living room doing something.
Right.
I mean, so you have a couple of band shows, or you have look at all the cop
soap operas, you know, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so what? You know, why
exactly.
So, you know, I
revisit that shit now that Johnny Depp's less hireable as an actor.
I kept forgetting his name because I was his producer's name kept going into my head. You know, that with the person.
Well, you guys have accomplished an awful lot of incredible stuff. You know, you've been writing for different things. I mean, you've got your books and different things. Let's hear about some of what's going on for you guys.
Oh shit, dude! Right now it's just Jack for the most part.
Yeah, that's our main focus.
We're very close to just finishing it. It's in post. It comes out January 20th. We're going to run a trailer of it at the end of this episode. Actually, we've been doing that.
Cool. But you know what would have made it better?
What's that? Rex Sikes, the amazing Rex.
I just throwing that out there.
We definitely want to find some way to do something.
Yeah, no, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
It's very. We want to just find the perfect thing though. Kind of like with Gaul, right. We looked at Gaul and thought, what can we do with this guy? He feels like an untapped secret weapon here in the Milwaukee scene that no one's really utilized to his max potential yet.
Well, I mean, that is Michael.
Yeah, he's a hate monger. There's that now.
He's a lovely guy, but I mean, his character has always been kind of this asshole kind of guy.
Acerbic.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, this shit goes to whole new heights of just.
Yes,
but I was attracted to him, and that sounds sexual, but it wasn't meant that way. But I first saw him, Dustin Diamond, and he were doing something decades ago.
Screech.
Yeah, but they were doing.
Gotta get him on our favorite movie.
Right, yeah, you should.
But go ahead.
But Dustin and he were doing some kind of like, they were trying to do a road tour show or something.
Yes, he's told this story before about how,
how
much it bombed.
That was the first time I saw it go, and at that point, then there was also Tony. Was it Tony Brown? Was heading up some of the local comedians, and there was something at the press club or whatever what's it called
So you're talking about seeing his stand-up, though, not acting.
No, but I am talking about stand-up at front. Is where I first became aware of Michael. I didn't know he wanted to be an actor until I got to know him, and I got to know him because of his stand-up. But I immediately went and said, "Hey, you're cool. I love your character. I love what you're doing." And but what is it called? It's a place in front of the safe house.
Well, he was the guy. He was like the doorman at the safe house who would fuck with you before you could get in, right?
Right. Well, no, I don't know about that, but there was in front of the safe house. There's another club, club.
Yeah.
And they had comedy there for a long time, and then it moved somewhere else, and then it moved down to the third ward, and then Tony died, and then it kind of just fell apart. But Michael had this acerbic character, everything he was the angry man kind of thing, and he did it really, really well. I mean, you didn't for a second think that wasn't him.
He's like a Bill Burr type, but less exact, like
understated.
Bill Burr gets kind of like he's exasperated or something, like what the fuck is this? This is ridiculous. Or whatever. Gaul just goes at it,
right?
Like a heat-seeking missile, like just pure anger and shit.
And on top of it, he can act, and I have maintained for some time that some of our better actors are comedians. I mean, you can watch
absolutely.
Some of these guys, even
we just mentioned Robin Williams shit, like Rarefied Air.
Chris Gaul would shit on Robin Williams. It's joke thief.
Oh right, yeah. You mentioned auditioning. Have you done a lot of that? Are there any roles that is there one that got away that you really wanted that you would have loved?
I mean, I don't even remember. I have a very selective memory. I hardly remember anything I've ever done, and I'm similar. And when I was a young actor for about a decade, if I wasn't working, I was always workshopping. 4 or 5 times a week. I was in maybe sometimes 2 or 3 times a day, and I taught acting. So I would have to learn script after script after script. So I would learn it, and then when I was done, I just put it out of my mind. So I just forget it. A friend of mine got the part, Daryl Morey, who plays David in Massacre at Central High, which is now coming out again. and we can talk about that in a minute. I was originally asked if I would by Lynn Stallmaster to be Jughead, and I found that offensive. I thought I was so pissed. I didn't want to be the best friend. I didn't want to be the sidekick. I didn't want to be Jughead. I certainly wasn't going to be, anybody else in the show. But I was like, don't, And I was in a room full of producers, and Stallmaster had me there, and I said, absolutely not. Thank you. Bye. And I walked out.
They're like, who the fuck is this guy?
How old were you at this time?
And Stallmaster's like, I will never see you again, and he never did.
How old were you at this time?
Oh, I don't know. I was probably 22.
Okay.
I love it.
This
is upstart.
Daryl, who starred in Master at Central High as David, I co-starred as Rodney. Daryl got that. He was also on Joni and Chachi, and but he got that, and to this day, he's like, I'm Jughead.
Nice. You were talking about having a very selective memory, and I'm like that too. I have just snippets, especially from early on, but one that I definitely stands out with you in LA, hanging out one night when we went to the Dakota Lounge.
Oh yeah.
And you introduced me to Zach Ward, who played the redheaded bully in Christmas Story,
right?
Which was a great movie growing up that I always loved. And to meet him, and he was manager of the Dakota Lounge, and I think it was Santa Monica.
Yeah,
we were just sitting at a booth with him, and you guys are talking Hollywood and stuff, and Uwe Ball and everything. And I hear just in the back kitchen, fa la 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 la, which is from the movie. And I was like, was that because he's here? It was so surreal. And then there was this amazing performer on the stage there, and I was like, this guy's awesome. And he came in, and his manager sat down with us, and it was Bruno Mars right before he shot to stardom. And it was just a surreal night. Yeah, I love
Bruno Mars is the shit. That motherfucker can sing.
And that was one of those things I forgot for a long time until Jason said, oh yeah, Chris talks about you and he going to the club in Santa Monica. I'm like, oh God, of course.
Yeah, that was awesome. And then the Dakota Lounge burned down a few months later, so it's just gone now.
There were some great places. There was something on Wilshire. What was it? It was a woman's, God, it was got it.
You got the three of us with our shitty stoner memories. We're all going to be sitting here like, what was it?
It was like,
oh, good.
Oh my Lord, I love this place. It was I don't know if we ever went there, but it was a courtyard bar restaurant scene. It was somebody's on Wilshire, like Kim's on Wilshire or something.
One of you LA fuckers say it in the comments.
Right. Yeah. Or if you remember later, go in the comments and
and I will. I mean, I've got photos of it somewhere. But you would go in, it was this kind of long thing, and they had 3 bars in there, one to the right, one to the back, and one over here. And they made some great food, and then of course it changed management. Now, why did I tell you about this?
That's the real
We were talking about the Dakota Lounge and stuff. So the Dakota Lounge and that whole.
There were so many great. There's so many great.
Yeah, these little just
gone, and like I was looking at Mank, and they go to Trocadero. I believe the Trocadero, and I could be wrong, was the Comedy Store building, or Ciro's might have been the Comedy Store building. Ciro's, not Cyrano's. Cyrano's was down the street. There was Nikki there, a lot of places on Sunset, but Cyrano's was a hot spot.
It's funny, LA has so much to do. Parties every night, everywhere, so many cool places to hit that it can be a real trap for creatives who go there. I know writers who went there to write and end up not writing shit because they're just running around all these cool things and trying to network every night. And, it's like, I'm at a stage where I'd prefer to just stay back. With some we're just talking about the villa life. We just did a review of Call Me By Your Name with a buddy of ours, Martin. And that's Chris and I are both just like, give us a few acres somewhere where we can just write, create, and then we'll take our shit to the town. But being in the town is too much.
It was cool when you were young,
Definitely when you're young.
And it is like,
but I know a lot of young dudes who are now like 35 or 40, and I'm like, I didn't write the scripts I should have wrote.
I think the key is a taste of it now and then. Like that's how I've experienced it mostly because I live in Orange County. I'm not in LA. But when we went for meetings and things, I'd go up or I'd meet someone, a friend once in a while. But like when you and I were out there, Jay, we just randomly decided to go to the Comedy Store and watch just a lineup that had, like, I think Jeff Ross and Dave Attell in it, right? They were actually announced, but by the end of the night, Louis C.K. came out and did a set. unannounced, and it was just like, holy shit, this is awesome. And it
was
turned out to be
the week he was going on SNL. He was workshopping basically the monologue he did on SNL, which was fucking
so it
awesome.
just always surprises you whenever you used to go out in LA. There's some, like the night I was hanging with you, you know, with Bruno Mars and fucking Zach Ward and stuff.
So much talent there and stars and shit. It is crazy.
And everyone's kind of hungry to do something crazy and creative, and it has a good energy, or at least it used to. Well,
it's an amazing thing because when I was running around Hollywood as a late teen, early 20s, and then later, obviously, there were like the Copper Penny and Tiny Nailers and Dupars, which is none of those are there anymore. Jerry's Deli just closed, I guess,
that sucks.
In the Studio City, but the cool part was that you could go out any time of the day and find an all-night coffee shop and go in, and there'd be those are the days when you could smoke in coffee shops. So there'd be this haze of smoke and ashtrays mile high and yellow notepads of screenwriters writing on legal pads their scripts all night long, and things like that. And I remember Joe Turkel, who's a friend, also is a writer. Joe was the doctor in Blade Runner. He was the bartender in The Shining. And Joe is a friend of mine in Hollywood now. I haven't seen him in years. He's 91 or 2, and I'd love to see him. Joe used to take his typewriter and go down to like Ocean Avenue or down to the beach and type. He would have breakfast in the morning and then drive down to the beach and where he lived in Santa Monica and then type on the beach, with an old Underwood typewriter or whatever.
So just like even back in the day, though, the stars would be out because there wasn't all the paparazzi bullshit. So Jim Morrison would be traipsing around Sunset, getting fucked up.
Paparazzi ruined a lot of stuff.
Paparazzi's fucking trash.
Yeah, no, it really. What happens to people? There's no reason why. I mean, I get the movie star stuff, but what constitutes a public celebrity and the idea that because you have a public persona that somehow your entire private life should now be public.
I just saw Daniel Radcliffe on Hot Ones, and he was talking about, the show where they eat chicken wings, hot, spicy wings, and there's a question for each wing or whatever. But so Daniel Radcliffe, he was talking about the paparazzi knowing where he was going to be coming off a set every day, location for a shoot. And he or someone else had the idea of wearing the same outfit every day. And it's like, I mean, how many pictures can you take of me coming out of this building in the same outfit? You can't even tell it's a different day. It's a pretty genius.
That's smart.
And he also mentioned they have these things with like collars you can throw up that make the flash just turn your head into just a white blob.
That's smart.
But just wear reflective clothing so when they take a flash, they'll get blinded.
Right.
That's not a bad idea.
We actually have a pretty good sleazy paparazzi TV show idea called Money Shot that I think would be fucking phenomenal if we did it right. But the whole paparazzi thing, we wrote that script for Zac Efron too, and he was on Hot Ones. He talked about his paparazzi shit was maybe the worst of all time. He went and met with Leonardo DiCaprio just in like a mentorship kind of lunch or some shit at Leo's house, and Leo, of all people, said to him, "I don't know how you do it with the paparazzi. You have it way worse than I had it during Titanic and shit." Like, then Zac Efron's company is called Ninjas Running Wild because they have to run around and sneak around like ninjas to avoid the paparazzi. I don't think it's as bad now, but
I read that at least at some
edge,
at least at some point, Zac Efron had said in an interview that he actually was loving it. It was sort of like being a spy, like a James Bond or something, where you're like having to like duck shit and but maybe I don't know how long that lasted,
And that could have been Lemons from Lemonade type shit,
right?
It's like
if it's like hot girls chasing you and shit, that sounds like a pretty good.
But if that's going to be your experience, you might as well make the best of it. You might as well make.
He seems like that kind of dude.
Why over it? It's you wanted to be famous,
right?
You wanted to work.
And you probably know Jay and I wrote a script for Zach.
Right.
We pitched a movie to him and
some serial killer shit.
And after the deal closed, I think it was, the producers took us to a restaurant in Beverly Hills. I forget the name of it. It's the Brazilian steakhouse sort of thing. What's the fucking called? Anyway, while we were
whatever.
while we were waiting outside, there were a couple paparazzi going, I heard he's going to be here tonight. I don't know if it was Zach or someone else, but it might have been Zach because we were there with his producers and stuff. You know,
they're familiar with.
But it was someone, and I just thought it was like, yeah, there's a whiff of it right there. There's these guys out there with their cameras and they're passing rumors along. That
I think that's when we came up with a TV show idea. Like, could you imagine being one of these fucking dudes and then who they have to deal with?
It would be a
like,
great show, though. I mean,
yeah,
the kind of stuff that you'll stumble upon, you know, it'd be like, you know, like a Chinatown sort of elements and stuff, you know, all the you know, old Raymond Chandler's, like the spy, or not spy, but private eye type of world, you know.
I love Raymond Chandler. I mean, I grew up to Raymond Chandler. I would imagine Hollywood. I mean, I love that reading about the fictitious areas of the Southwest, you know, LA area through Chandler's eyes. And all I remember for one, I don't even remember what it was. I don't remember it was Farewell, My Lovely or whatever. He goes, I walked past a row of pinks. And I was like, God, what a way to, you know, he just described flowers the way, you know, the way he would say things.
Dude, yeah, he's a master for sure. LA, it's funny because we're talking about how great it is and how much fun shit there is to do it. I love also the evil, dark, fucked up, tragic side of it.
What's it, Hollywood Babylon, you know?
The murders, the
Black Dahlia and the Wonderland murders, Manson. It's crazy. I mean, that makes it better in a way. I mean, it's awful, but it's also just
it's Hollywood. That girl, 27 or whatever.
That's part of its draw. Is the dark side, is all I mean.
The power, the drugs, the money.
Everybody, it's the land of dreams, and it's the land of shattered dreams. And I always said that you could chain yourself to the studio gate, and the studio executives would drive by in their limousines, you know, and the birds would be picking your bones before they ever realized that, you know, it could break into the business.
Soul Coughing's Screenwriter Blues, amazing song. And there's that line, Los Angeles loves love.
I'll tell you a story. I don't know if I've shared this with you before. There was a guy named Sean. He was a shoe shine guy out in front of Schwab's. Schwab's was on Sunset at Crescent Heights. They had a little stand. Originally, there was a guy named Cliff there who ended up getting beat up by loan sharks or whatever, and nearly died and horribly beaten, you know. And a little Irish guy named Jerry took it over. And Sean was this gorgeous black man. And Sean wanted to be an actor, and so he would ask me if I would read lines with him, and so we would practice and read lines, and he got an audition, and would I help him with the audition, and I did. So he goes this week, it was like a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that, and he got the audition, and he got the part. And Jerry said to him, Sean, you got the part, your entire life is changing. Everything is good. And he had a wife from Sweden, a white woman from Sweden, and a tiny little baby. And Sean, on a Friday night, so Wednesday or Thursday, he got the part, went to a bar in Hollywood. And I went to Schwab Saturday morning, and Jerry goes, did you hear what happened to Sean? I go, what? He goes, he went out to this bar last night. I go, yeah. He goes, he was killed. And I went, what? He goes, some guy stabbed him in the throat with a broken bottle or something and killed him.
Oh, my God.
And so his whole life was about to turn around.
His baby.
And, you know what the role? It was Rocky III. He was going to do the part that they eventually gave to Mr. T.
Clubber Lang? Holy shit.
Really? Wow.
A true star-making role.
So his whole life. And he was buried in a pine box. His wife and baby went back to Sweden. Nobody knows, you know, what happened. I mean, it just... And he was such a lovely guy and wanted to just, you know, make his dreams come true and provide for his wife and kid.
Yeah, and a shoe shine. I mean, that's such a Rocky type story to rise from shoe shine to fucking star, you know.
Do you know the circumstances of what led to him being killed? Was it just a typical like bar fight type?
I don't remember now. No, I don't. And it may have been that he said something about, you know, getting cast in this movie, or it may not have had anything to do with it. I just don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
B.A. Baracus hired some dude to off him.
Oh, no shit.
I was so mad at him. I was like, and I said to Jerry, I go, if he was alive, I'd kill him. I was just so angry that this is what happened to him.
I pity the fool that go for my roles.
But that, you know, I mean, we all knew. I had a friend, Ned York. I was on my way to Timothy Carey. Timothy Carey was the bouncer in East of Eden. And Tim Carey was going to do a movie on either the Hillside Strangler, I think it was the Hillside Strangler, It could have been a Skid Row slasher. I mean, I got a bunch of these stories, but
it's LA.
I'll tell you that Skid Row slasher in a minute. But so I'm driving. I think I was at Schwab's, and I pulled out. I'm at Laurel Avenue on Sunset, across from like the Laugh Stop or whatever, or Greenblatt's at the time. And I'm going to go up into the canyon, and I'm going to Carrie's house. And I'm sitting out there, and on the radio, this was 75 or something. I mean, it was like KHJ radio or, AM radio. It wasn't even FM. They go, actor Ned York has confessed to being the Hillside Strangler. And I'm like, what? I know Ed. I mean, I've known Ned for years.
Oh my God. You knew the dude?
What? I get to Tim Carey's house. I go, can I use your phone?
Damn, that is hilarious.
I hate the name drop. I called him Jerry Hauser. If you remember Jerry, he was in Slapshot. He was in the Summer of 42. Jerry's a great guy. And I went, Ned has allegedly confessed to being the Hillside Stranger, because we used to live, a friend of mine lived on Kirkwood Boulevard, and right next door to his house was a guy, Jim Patterson, was a music producer, and Ringo Starr and Barry Bookin and all these different musicians and talents would come and play, and we'd all hang out. We'd be stoned and naked and by the poolside, and Ned lived right across the street. Wow. So it's this tight community right up from the Laurel Canyon Country Store. And so Ned is now arrested. I'm at Carrie's house calling all my friends going, Ned is confessed. He's saying he's the Hillside Strangler. What do you... Well, it turned out that he wasn't. And it turned
he was one of those creeps who confessed.
Yeah, I never understand that.
News later was he was high on Thai stick.
Talk about an attention whore.
Well, he said he was high on Thai stick, but what it was apparently was he was having trouble with his relationship, and you get
that's one solution.
He couldn't get his agent's attention, so yeah. That's one way to do that shit.
The last time I saw Ned in person was at the actors' strike in 80 or 81, and Ned looked just like Pernell Roberts. I mean, so if you remember Adam from Bonanza or Trapper John, he looked like Pernell Roberts. I said, how you doing? He goes, I can't get arrested as an actor. Nobody will have anything to do with me.
That's kind of a great excuse to never make it, is do some crazy shit, and then you can blame it when people don't hire you for anything.
He became a Salvation Army, whatever they are, general or major or something, and I think moved to Texas, where he later died of a massive heart attack. But Ned was...
Did you ever get serial killer vibes from him? So did you believe it when he confessed, or were you like, what is going on?
No, I mean, I was just, Ned was a beautiful man. I couldn't
say it's LA, man. Everyone gets a little serial killer vibe.
Right.
The Bret Easton Ellis side of it.
The Skid Row slasher, there was this hotel on Western Avenue, and the Skid Row slasher had been going on. And my friend Ken and I, Ken Schreiner plays Scotty Baldwin in General Hospital, and Ken and I, this was before he got the part, there's an ad in the Reporter and the Variety for an audition for a movie. So we go, and it's this hotel on the east side of Western, somewhere south of Hollywood Boulevard. And we go in, and we're told to wait in a lobby, and that Billy would be there to see us shortly. And so in comes this guy. He's got a white derby, white gloves, white shoes, white cane, white everything, three-piece suit, white, black hair, little mustache. Billy, hi.
It's hard to pull off, dude.
Yeah.
And he's like, how was your passage? And Ken's like, our passage? He's like, you're here for the film.
Film.
The film.
And like, what am?
Ken and I are looking at each other like, what the heck is this? He's like, well, you have a seat. My assistant's upstairs. We'll call you very soon, but we'll have you on the film. And Ken said, well, what are you shooting the film on? And he goes, well, we're shooting it on film. And
so there was a distinction.
I love affectation, motherfucker.
15 or 35, and he's like,
I love the test.
15 or 35, he goes,
yes.
Well, we know that there's nothing about this that's going to be good, but we thought this is too weird to leave, so we waited, and we go upstairs eventually, and we're in this kitchen essentially, and there's a woman sitting at a table again. The yellow pads all around her, and she's furiously writing, and we go in, and Billy's been left in a lobby, and she says, so you're here for the film? And we said yes. And she said, well, okay, we'll do some reading. And I, in the corner of my eye, see Billy go behind the door, because there was, where we were was one door, and then there was another room over here. And I just see him go by, and I don't think anything of it. And she says, Kim goes, well, who the heck is that guy? She goes, oh, that's Billy. You know, he's the writer. But what I neglected to tell you was he had cartoon images of his character going fucking and bucking and sucking and cocking and bucking and bawling and falling and falling. I mean, it was just these pictures of him and adoring fans in silhouette kind of thing, you know, and with swear words all over it. So no script, no words, nothing. Just fuck and suck and cock and back and whatever. And she says, well, don't pay any attention to him. He got arrested as the Skid Row slasher the other night, and they beat him up, and he hasn't been the same since.
Oh, shit.
So we're standing there when he comes in, and he walks through us.
Fucking brain injury from getting beat up
by the cops, you mean?
Huh?
The cops beat him up? Or?
Yeah, the cops beat him. So he walks in, and he goes over to the sink where there's this huge butcher knife, and he starts fingering this butcher knife and goes, you know, I don't like people who talk about me behind my back. And Ken and I are like, I don't think we should be here. You know?
Yeah.
And we're like,
he got wrongfully arrested. Or did he turn out to be the Skid Row slasher?
Right.
No, he wasn't the Skid Row slasher either, and he was just some, you know, another one of these people that Hollywood chews up.
I want to see like a support group for dudes who've been wrongly accused of being serial killers. Like, they're all fucked up.
I got to confess, I'm kind, you know, I love true crime stuff and everything, but I never heard of the Skid Row slasher. Did he get caught ultimately? Did they catch the real guy?
Going around and slashing
bums
who were sleeping in Skid Row.
That gives me a fucking movie idea. Like, think of protagonist, a bum on Skid Row, or a guy hard on his luck in Skid Row, and some Don't Look Now shit. Or there's a slasher going around killing homeless people, though, and you're like, you're on the lookout for him. Is he going to get me one night? Whatever. You can make a horror movie for cheap as shit with real homeless people. With cell phones, man, that might be one to put on the list. It could be fucking scary. And then Rex Sikes shows up slashing throats and shit.
There you go.
You know, maybe when I'm like 70, I could be a septuagenarian slasher.
Yes.
Septuagenarian slasher.
The next trauma film.
Or just some guy goes around in his nursing home stepping on people's air hoses and shit,
there you go.
Watching them die.
Well, you know, I mean, it is interesting. You know, as a young man, I wanted all sorts of stuff. Now, you know, I mean, like everybody, I can't think of anybody who wouldn't say this, you know, but I'd love to be the boss cop in a TV show, you know, or the guy where they go in and they report to, and I go, get back to work, you know. Right. And in the old days, you used to be hired on. Now you're just a reoccurring role. You know, the money's not there, but you work, you know, a day or two a week, you know, or you're the
character actor,
medical examiner. You know, friends of mine play the medical examiners on different shows, and you know, things like that. And they come in, you know, and but
then you go have your Starbucks and chill and watch a movie or something, and it doesn't consume you.
But when you guys came to my class, I mean, the whole point of that class was to teach people how to navigate a career in Hollywood, because truly.
And you got us?
Right.
Yeah, well, you were the pot smoking side of it. But
we're the what not to do guys.
You're the example. No, but the class was, you know, how do you negotiate a career? Because too many people, like we're talking about, these actors that, you know, are method and they get screwed up, or, you know, a lot of people use acting as therapy or fame as therapy. You know, everybody goes to Hollywood for a dream, and then it doesn't work out, and they end up in drugs and sex, or crime, or, you know, alcohol or something, because they're disappointed, or they've, you know, may have had that.
See, I think you got to reverse engineer it. I think you just go to LA for the drugs and the sex and shit. You might fall into being an actor.
There you go. Well, the big problem with all that is ego. We keep coming back to that with other guests and stuff, but just that if you're going there purely for these hugely egotistical reasons, and then that doesn't do it for you, you end up still with this hungry, uncontrollable ego that you end up applying in other areas, you know, that aren't so healthy.
Yeah, that was me. I mean, you know, I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be famous. I wanted to be a star. I wanted to, you know, have all of this stuff. It wasn't the work that interested me as much as the attention I thought I would get from it.
Yeah, so I'm the complete opposite. I don't want attention. I just want to work on creative shit.
I was sitting with a friend of mine who turned to me and said, I don't want to be famous. I just want to be a working actor, like, you know, character actors who work all the time. And I was like, why would you ever want that? Now I get it. I mean, you know, it took me, you know, another 30 years to understand.
Adoration's nice, I guess. But
no, but I mean, you know, a lot
Admit
of
it, you wanted pussy.
going to show.
Yeah, well, of course.
Huh?
I said, admit it, you wanted pussy. That's what everyone wants to become a star for.
What I
Or dick, whatever you're into.
Right, exactly. Whatever your version of pussy is.
No, but I tell, well, true nowadays, but or even then those. But I tell you, it's not. I always said, had I really intended to get girls, I should have been a musician, because they get the pussy. The actors don't get. Everybody in Hollywood's an actor. Nobody gives a crap if you're an actor. What do? You're an actor. Oh yeah. What have you been in? You know, that's first question. Like, what have you been in? What do you drive? Where do you live? You know, how much are you worth? I haven't seen you in anything.
Well, one reason we made Cactus Jack is because we kept getting asked anything I've seen or I can see, you know, when we talk about having been.
It's like we've been hired several
10, 15
times
years now, more
on assignments, and nothing's been produced. Like, it all gets stuck in development hell and shit, you know, or falls apart for very stupid reasons. You know how it is, man. Everything's a precipice and just gets tipped over, you know.
One of the people whose paths crossed mine and who my paths crossed was George Clooney, because he came to live with some very good friends of mine, Rosemary Clooney, and the children. And that was Miguel, who's now passed away, and Gabrielle and Maria and Monsita and Raphael. And Dante was Rosie's then husband, or at that time boyfriend. And George moved in, and George worked constantly at one point. He did pilot after pilot after pilot after pilot. He was like the most successful.
Yeah, was doing like Facts of Life or some shit.
Well, ultimately he did that, and I think Roseanne or something. But he was like a totally working actor, making like 40 grand or whatever a pilot, but never seen. Nobody knew him. It wasn't.
Yeah, we're similar to that. We've been paid to write scripts and stuff, but nothing has made it through the development hell process to the point of becoming a film ultimately.
So now we made the kind of film that would never make it through any.
Right, exactly.
Well, a lot of people act and get cut out of movies, and they've done.
Dude, Adrian Brody,
famous one, Terrence Malick.
Yeah, you know about that one? He goes opening night with his family and shit to watch the movie, and he's just not in it. He was supposed to be the starring role.
Well, I'm gonna tell something that might get me in trouble, but the agents here will send you an email for an audition in Chicago, for example, and they'll put everybody who's going up for an audition that week or that day. And so you might see Rex, and I'm going up for a part, and it'll say, you know, 1 episode, you know, 1 scene or 3 scenes or 10 lines or whatever. And then it'll have Jerry or something, and it'll say 3 episodes. So I look at this and I go, I don't want the 1 episode with the 2 scenes. I want the 3 episodes, you know, because that means at least 3 days of work or more. So, you know, you audition, and I go and I get this part. Or I don't get the part, but I get the audition, I get the call back for later that day, and I don't want it. I can't blow it because I need to still be good for the casting director and for the director. I can't blow it, but I don't want it. So I auditioned and I didn't get it.
Interesting dilemma.
But I see, Jay, and I see the part, because I knew the part. It was with the 2 leads of Chicago PD, play a warden, and they come in we have this backstory, so technically, you know, that you could develop the character down the road. But anyway, I didn't get it. I didn't want it. I was very happy I didn't get it, and I would have loved it if I had gotten it at the same time. But so I see
very weird like that. Yeah.
Accidentally, I see the show, and in the scene, what you see is the 2 guys coming up the stairs with a 3rd guy in front of them, and then this blur goes through the doorway, and then the 2 leads come in, and the camera's on them, and then they cut to. In mid-sentence, the guy who plays the warden, and then they cut back to the 2 guys, and then there's this another sentence of the warden, but the camera's on the 2 guys, and then they cut out. So the guy, you know, got the part, told everybody in the world, watch me, I'm going to be on.
And he's in for like half a second.
He literally wasn't on screen for 3-4 seconds at most.
Brutal.
Now, he made $1,000 or so for that, and he probably gets residuals for it, but.
Yeah, credits.
It's not the same as going.
It's not the same at all.
I'm so happy and so proud of my work.
Right.
You know? But that's how it works a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to build a reel when you have a bunch of 4-second clips of you.
You should build your reel. You say, I am the 4-second clip guy. Whenever you need somebody 4 seconds, here I am. Here's me standing in the hallway. There's me at the elevator operator. Here I'm delivering flowers for Miss Brooks. Here I am at the Hillside Basher's house.
Hey, when you think about it, that's pretty good bang for your buck per second. You know,
yeah, $1,000.
If you got $1,000, it's like what, $250 a second, man. That's like it's better than lawyers and shit.
Yeah, no, it's good pay. It's reasonable.
There you go. So the shorter your time, the more you maximize, like you know what I'm saying?
So either you're in it for the money, or you're in it to be seen, or you're in it for both. But or either one is acceptable. So if it depends on your mindset. It depends on where you are. If you're in it to make money, you can make money being an extra. I mean, if I lived back in LA full time now, as opposed to going back and forth, I would I'd be an extra. I'd pick my $80 a day, read a book, sit, get a sandwich, and hang out. And when I was a young guy, I would never do that. And yet I dated a girl who bought race horses because she was an extra on Barbary Coast. She was a regular extra, and she tons of money.
Damn.
Extras work more than actors.
Let me ask you this. I don't know how much time we got left, but as filmmakers aspiring to probably make more films, and we got a lot of buddies who are in the same boat, what would you say to aspiring directors about working with actors?
Listen to your actor and don't tell your actor what to do until after the actor's told you or showed you what they can do.
Let them do their version.
And let them have ownership of it.
That. Yeah, that's
invest in it.
Because otherwise, they may bring in stuff that you never ever thought, and it may be outside of what you had intended, but it might be brilliant, and it could be brilliant. And shoot your rehearsals, and shoot everything you can. Don't let them know it necessarily, but just shoot. And then between the rehearsal or even before you rehearse, a lot of times before you say action is when you get the most interesting responses, because they're sitting, they're listening, they're waiting, and they don't have anything. So if you need a response shot or somebody paying attention or whatever, you can
secretly shoot them.
you take it before you slate them.
Good. It's the most natural shit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're not acting in that moment, which is
right.
what you're really after.
You can feed them a line. You can say, what's your line? And they go, flowers for Miss Brooks. And then you go, okay, that's right. Okay, all right. Like,
trick people into not acting. I love that.
Especially
with if, like I say, you go make a movie with a bunch of real homeless people, because you want that authentic Soderbergh bubble kind of thing where you fucking cast your lead out of the KFC and shit in this local town. Speaking of Soderbergh and actors and interacting with directors, I don't know where I saw this, but recently I saw a clip talking about Benicio del Toro in a scene in Traffic. Was somebody telling us that on this podcast, dude? Damn.
It rings a bell, but what's the
yeah, well, there was this whole long exchange between Benicio del Toro. It's a scene where he's playing this cop in Traffic, and he comes in and he tries to get some informant or some shit on his side by pretending to be gay, because the dude is gay. So he's going to court him and sucker him in so he can get info out of him. And they had this long back and forth exchange and dialogue scene or whatever. And Del Toro was like, let me try something, because this scene's just not working. It's too talky and shit. And he comes in and he set his pack of cigarettes down on the counter, and he looked at the dude, and when he took his hand away, there was a condom on top of the pack of cigarettes. And he's like, with one shot, just one little action, right, I said everything you need to say in this whole fucking conversation. And that came from the actor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So as a director, definitely let your actors play, because they could come up with some super economical, naturalistic shit,
Right, because as the director, your mind is so busy with so many things involving the whole scope of the film, pretty much. And then this actor can just luxuriate in the character and think more about, things that maybe you just don't have even the bandwidth to
I have Massacre at Central High is now for re-release. It's beautiful. I saw the trailer.
I have to watch this. I'll put it on my list.
Sending me something. So this is good. But the director, after 35 years, I told him, I said, I can't watch this movie without hating this. He goes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He gave me a line.
I know that feeling.
I had to say this math problem won't work out. And so I go, the math problem won't work out. He goes, no. You say it like this. Da, 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 da. I'm like, what? He goes, this math problem won't work out. I'm like, so I keep, we're in the, in the mobile home doing the whole thing, and, the Cinemobile or whatever, we're doing this whole thing, and no, you have to say it this way. You have to say it this way. I said it that way. He said, I'll do it your way if you do it my way. All right. So I did it. And then he said, okay, that's enough. I go, what about my way? He goes, we don't need it. You did it my way.
What a day.
That's
30
cool.
years. I mean,
at least shooting on digital, you're like, just let them do their way. Maybe.
I didn't like it, but I mean, for 30 years, it was like, to me, an embarrassment whenever I see this.
Yeah, line readings do feel like bullshit. The only time I've ever done it, I remember we were making a short back in the day, and it was this thing where the actor just kept saying a declarative statement, like a question. He kept lilting, but that's a different thing. That's not, I mean, that's
Well, there are times
it's a fucking statement. It's not a question. Stop saying it like a question.
Right. I mean, there are times when you need to
say it any way you want. That's not a question. You know, fucking weird.
Do it like this. Hey, whatever happened to that short that we worked on that got dark at night, and we ran out of light and we were running all over the.
It will remain forever.
River West or something, shooting something with darkness.
Is that the buzzer? Where are we at? Nothing happened with it. It's one of those projects that just was never seen through because we didn't get what we wanted. And honestly, that kind of big crew shit and just all the moving parts, bringing them together, that stuff, that's what we don't like about filmmaking. That's why when we make...
You're alone, right?
Yeah. Is it cool if I start filming now?
No, what do we get inside? Why are you here?
I just thought it was really interesting, you know, that someone hasn't left their basement in 6 months, not even to use the bathroom. Is that true?
Why would I want to go out there? I got everything I need right here. That's what's wrong with most people. They're weak-willed pussies and parasites who buy into that whole "it takes a village" bullshit. You know how many aliases I've used calling into radio shows?
I've had it up to my goddamn gills with the systematic feminization of this country.
I don't think of course we want to. Get your own damn show if you think you got that much to say.
You live in your mom's basement.
Get down! Fuck you! What's so special about my loser son?
You really do hate your own mother.
She's a woman. Why wouldn't I?
You know, there's some disconnect there, and if I can find it, what is hate? Where does it come from? Where does it go?
You want to know what gender you are? Reach down the front of your fucking pants and shoot fucking kite Black Lives Matter. Do you call horses slaves? Liberal fucktard. Enough with the parades and the rainbow flags.
Dude, this guy's... it's like pure hate, man.
Want to see something really fucking cool?
This guy is a fucking animal. He's got himself on a leash. He's itching to get off that fucking leash. And he's gonna fucking kill some people.
What a fucking show.
Stop!
What do we hear?
Look at me! Look at me!
We're gonna help you show them the light. We're gonna change the world.
This is Cactus Jack coming to you live from a studio audience.
To the man who calls himself Cactus Jack, we have watched as you have rocketed to infamy.
And you wonder why these cornered animals lash out. Pick a fucking side.
And now, we have watched as you have called for literal blood.
I know you're out there listening. It's buzzing in your ears, burrowing into your brain.
Do it.
Jack, you're gonna love this. I pulled that trigger on that motherfucker's head.
Your VPN will not shield you. The darknet will not hide you. You and your kind are finished.
You think I'm scared of you?
Come and fucking get me!
Might I be your neighbor? Neighbor?